Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. Today is the 14th of September. This is episode number 433. I am back from a day off for my birthday. I had quite a fun time yesterday. We had a party in the office in the morning. Everybody dressed up as me. We had people wearing Jets gear, people wearing ties. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. I went out to lunch with Adela and Amani. And then Amani and I and my daughter went out to dinner, and then we saw a play. We didn't bring Nor, but the play is called The Lehman Trilogy. If you have the chance to see it, it's really amazing. It's about these three brothers who come to America from Bavaria in Germany, and they're immigrants, and they're in Alabama, and they figure out how to make money as brokers for cotton, and they build what becomes Lehman Brothers, which is one of the biggest banks and trading facilities in the world. The play is 3 hours and 40 minutes long, so it was really long. I'm a little bit tired, so if I get a little crabby today, please don't hold it against me. I did want to let you know that for the first time in a good long while, we're going to have a guest on the show. I'm very excited to have her. I'm going to introduce her in just a minute. If you haven't been with us before, please let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. We love to know what's up. Her name is Aditi, and I'm going to talk to her for probably 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll see if anybody has a question for her in the waiting room. If not, we'll let her go, but we'll just see. She does some really interesting stuff with immigrants, and let me go ahead and bring her on. Hello there.
Hi, Jim. Oh my gosh, this seems surreal.
How are you doing? Welcome. Thank you for being with me. I'm glad. I don't let many people come on the show. And I mean, really, Huli can tell me, I think we've probably had 3 people who aren't me or work at the firm on the show.
Oh,
And I only let people on the show who I think have something to say,
yeah.
care about immigrants, and know how things really work. Not BS like, oh, if we're nice to USCIS, they'll do what we want, right? So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let everybody know sort of maybe your immigrant journey or your journey into what made you like immigration and sort of how you help people.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the 3 factors that you just said, and the fact that you think I check all those boxes, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And I must tell you, all your viewers, they already know this. I'm preaching to the choir, but your videos give me a lot of clarity. And there's this one video, and I told you about this before as well, that the one thing that you need to know when you are going up with USCIS is you need to have the guts to fight this out. You cannot cower. And we don't hear that often because we think that the only thing that we can do is just take the punches. But the fact that you have to stand there and kind of have a fighter mentality, that is so undersaid but so needed for us to hear. So I appreciate that. Like you said, my name is Aditi Paul. I moved to this country in 2010. Do not have that stereotypical story to say where, oh my gosh, I had this American dream and I had to come here to realize it. My sister was the person for whom I moved because she couldn't. Can I say the word shut up on your show?
Oh, we cuss on here all the time.
Okay, good. She just couldn't shut up about the US. So when she got married and she moved in 2005 and she had a baby in 2009, I came to visit my newly born nephew and she gave me a US plug. She said, "Hey, you're getting your master's in computer science. I know you hate it. You've talked about like getting something in communication. Why don't you just talk to some of the professors here?" And I went and talked to professors. And next thing you know, the next year I'm here as a PhD student to get my degree in communication studies in Michigan State. So I graduated from there, and just like every other immigrant, went from my F1 to my H1B cap exempt. And to be honest with you, when you're talking about like what got me interested in immigration, it's the immersion in it. I didn't get interested in immigration. Immigration became a part of me. And uh, when I think about my immigration journey, I think about, have you heard of that parable of like frogs in a beaker?
Boiling pot.
Yeah, in a boiling pot. That's what I think immigration feels like for us. So when you come here as an F1 student and you clear that F1 interview, and now you can only work for 20 hours, you're so enamored by this newfound freedom that you found in the US, where you're away from your family and you can just do anything and you're having the time of your lives. You don't really realize that USCIS just took away that power of you being able to work however many hours you want, and you're okay with that. And then you get your H-1B and now you have a real job, but then you can only work for one job, but then you're making good money in the job, so you're okay with that. So but the heat gets, like, it's cranking up, and that if there is an inflection point, and by the time that inflection point comes, at least for Indian immigrants, it's too late, right? Because now we are in the inertia of rest. We are okay with the things that are happening around us, and I'm talking particularly about the green card backlog. And to be honest with you, I was not okay with that. I was not okay with that because I was a professor at the time in a New York City university, not making a whole lot of money because I accepted the first offer that came to me. But the only way I could leave this job was the flexibility that only a green card would give me, and I had to fight it out. It was not handed over to me. I had to earn it through the EB1 category. And I thought when I was going through this process, I was the only one. But on a fateful day on May into 2022, when I finally shared my story, that one story went viral. And that demonstrated to me that there is something here. People were not celebrating me getting a green card, people were seeing their stories represented. So I took up the baton and I ran with it. So since then, I have constantly, consistently created content surrounding immigration on LinkedIn, partnered up with immigration lawyers such as yourselves, immigration paralegals, people who have gotten their green cards, higher education specialists, with one goal and one goal only: to empower us with the knowledge that will enable us to make better decisions so we are not caught off guard.
Okay, so I love everything that you just explained. I want to break some of it down. So, give me your opinion because I have an opinion. Give me your opinion on how America treats international students in general, and then maybe specifically international students from India.
Man, I did my research in online dating, so I understand a lot of the world through the through that lens. So when I think about U.S. universities and international students, I think about the entry and then the exit, right? And it kind of follows a relationship that you get on Tinder,
Ah,
where it's the first match that you get, there's a whole bunch of love bombing that happens, right? Like, oh my God, international students are here. We're going to do an international student orientation. The onboarding is amazing. It's amazing. I went through two of them because I transferred universities. So you feel like, oh my gosh, like I can really hone in my identity as an Indian student. And you celebrate Diwali and you're going to all these African events, you're going to all these like European events. Like there's a lot of fun that is to be had, and there is a thriving international student office. But then you come to the other side, like when the first date has happened, and just like a lot of these Tinder dates, you all of a sudden get ghosted, and you're like, what just happened there, right? Like now who's going to help me with all the awareness that I now need after I got my education over here? And that's where US universities, and I am talking about as an ex higher education specialist, we truly wash our hands off and we say that, well, our job was to give you a degree. We did not make any promises to get you a job. And
mm,
and I'm not just talking about international students from India being treated by higher education institutes over here. I'm also talking about the psyche of an international student from India. We come, people don't understand what a unique mindset an Indian student has, because we are coming from a country of a billion people. Of a billion people. You're talking about competition, you're talking about rare resources. Talk to an Indian student. We know what it feels like to be unseen. We know what it feels like to always try to be ahead of the curve, because the curve is a huge one, right? So we are used to a lot of work. We are used to not being recognized and not mattering if you're not from certain institutions. So when you do get that opportunity to get an education in a first world country like the US, right, which is unattainable on a conventional level, right? And then when you come here, you feel like, oh my gosh, this is such a great opportunity. I can't believe I'm like I matter now, right? So instead of demanding or demanding any change, we don't do that, right? Because we are so used to not. I don't want to use the word entitled, but let me use the word entitled. We are not entitled. We know that everything is a struggle, so we embrace this as yet another struggle that we have to figure out.
And then what about H-1Bs and sort of the backlog for Indian nationals when it comes to getting a green card? Talk to us a little bit about that. For some of our viewers probably have no idea what that even means.
Oh man, I'm gonna refrain from the legal side of talking about
Okay.
that, but I'm gonna talk about what the reality that we live in every single day, um, because it is such a common phenomenon, right? Like, oh yeah, everybody is backlogged, right? It There is a sense of comfort in that normalcy, that, oh, I'm not the only one here, everybody is in this, right? So it becomes normalized. And also, when people say that, oh, the backlog is so bad that we cannot get our green cards for 134 years.
Mhm.
Again, I understand it from, I'm very nerdy in my examples. There's this theory called fear appeals, right? So to a certain degree, fear is going to inspire you to take action. But when that fear becomes too much, we get paralyzed and we tune it out, thinking that it's never going to happen to us.
Mm.
A good example is tobacco companies back home in India. So if you ever purchase a pack of cigarettes in India, every pack of cigarette has like a grotesque visual showing what's going to happen to your face if you smoke this pack of cigarettes, and it's so grotesque. You don't think that this one cigarette that you hold in your hand can make that happen, right? So you tune it out. You tune it out. Think about data privacy. We know that our data is being stored, and who knows how our data is being used, but we don't want to think about it. We tune it out because it's so scary. The same thing happens with the backlog. That sense of normalcy that's there because there's so many of us who are backlogged, together with the just the debilitating consequences of that, are so dire and so scary that we kind of tune it out and live with it. It becomes normal.
We're talking today on the Immigration Answer Show with Aditi Paul. She's here to talk about sort of the experience of international students, higher education, trying to get work authorization, trying to stay in the United States. You know, there's a lot of pie in the sky BS that you hear, and Aditi tells it like it really is. So we're very appreciative of that. For those of you who want to ask her a question, feel free to just leave it in the comments because it looks like the waiting room's pretty full. If anyone is in the waiting room that has a question for her, just give me a signal so I can tell. I'll pull you up to talk to her. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. Where do you see things headed? Do you think anything is going to get better? I mean, I guess one thing is, what was it like? So, you know, my wife's from Egypt, and most of my clients are from predominantly Muslim countries. So I know what the experience was like for a lot of Arab Americans under Trump. What was it like for Indian people during the Trump era? I've never really thought about that much.
Mm. So these are again some of the insights that I have received when I started creating this community. So after that post went viral on LinkedIn, I gathered everybody in a Slack community, and the Slack community has grown from like 0 people to like 2,600 people now. And some of the things that I'm going to share with you right now, I've heard from those folks,
Sure.
and one of those insights is directly from my case. So our fees on H-1B renewals were very common among Indian nationals, is what somebody said. And again, this is all hearsay, this is all conjecture. I don't have data to back it up. There were a lot more scrutiny in EB1C applications. So I personally know a friend, my husband's friend, who was here on a contractual basis, and then his EB1C got denied. Things were starting to get scrutinized a lot more. And then when I was going up for my EB1B application, my lawyer, university lawyer, said something which I do not think was true. but they had their own agenda. So I was going up for my EB1B in September of 2021. And there was an email thread that went around where I asked my dean, who then forwarded it to the vice president, who then forwarded to the lawyer, saying that why have you kept Dr. Paul waiting for 9 months when we gave you the approval of going forward with her EB1B? This lawyer then cited that, oh, the new administration has come in. The USCIS adjudicator in the previous organization, a previous administration, were scrutinizing and rejecting EB1B applications. And she gave me a very specific example of someone's EB1B application being rejected with like 300 citations. This was September 2021. Didn't the USCIS adjudicators change before that? So that is again an insight that I got from my university lawyer.
So we got some great comments. I don't know if you saw them. One person said, "You're speaking exactly what I feel."
Oh, oh, I
You're
cannot
speaking,
see. Oh, I see the
yeah,
private
I'll put it up right here. You're speaking exactly what I feel.
comment.
I think that, I mean, there's nothing better on this show or any other show where people can feel that connection. So thank you for giving voice to that for people that are stuck. And then one person asked, "Do you want the country cap removed?"
Yes. I mean, so I didn't know that there were these two. I mean, I keep learning about immigration after I have completed 95% of that immigration journey.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know there was something called a statutory backlog and an administrative backlog. And what I understand from what I have learned is the USCIS administrative backlog is not where the problem lies. The statutory backlog is where the problem lies. Where and I should mention this, that, like, uh, as much as I like talk about my experience with my immigration lawyer, I should say that upon further reflection and upon understanding the system a touch more, collaborating with lawyers, I understand that I have been villainizing the wrong person for a long time, because I now understand that I was villainizing my lawyer, right? And then now I understand that the lawyers are working against a failing organization, like not a failing organization, but a bottlenecked organization like USCIS. And then the USCIS was working against archaic policies that they have no control over, where the buck stops with Congress. So it's just the piling and the transference of trauma at this point, where the brunt of it is faced by us, right? But then people in the middle are also getting burnt, and I acknowledge that. Um, so yeah, if I hope that, like, the 7% country cap is removed by removing the statutory backlog. And let's be honest here, we are working in a capitalist organization, we are working in a country whose core tenet is capitalism. So if you see this problem from a capitalist lens, it makes economic sense. It just makes economic sense. Like, imagine if all the H-1B workers were fired or laid off, or they just got out of the country. A large percentage of them being Indian talent. What kind of economic loss would that incur? So even thinking about from a dollar perspective, it makes sense. And I see a lot of parallels between higher education and USCIS, or higher education and US immigration, where things have not changed because things have worked the way they have worked. But now there are seismic changes in society that is rupturing the very foundation on which these things have worked for the longest time. Like, look at what COVID did with higher education, right? Higher education is going to be forced to change. You think you cannot coast on things that you've done. So, and I worry that by the time US immigration wakes up to this realization that, man, like, all the talent we have been attracting, and these policies that made it impossible for them to stay here or retain themselves here, now it's coming back and biting us in the ass.
Yeah.
And I worry that it's going to be too late by the time they realize this.
So the thing that drives me crazy is, well, one, there's been no action on the numbers or the cap in 30 years, right?
That's
So nothing has changed. And what I really don't like is the trying to pit one immigrant group off another. That's what, that, like, we're going to take the 50,000 visas away from the DV people and give them to this group over here or that group over there. That's the part that really drives me crazy. All right, last question for you. Last question. Talk to me about the need for connection in 2023. You mentioned your Slack channel, and I had a LinkedIn post that went viral. It was all trying to be just optimistic about why OPT can help people, and like that thing got shared over 100 times. It's my best performing LinkedIn piece ever, and it was predominantly shared by Indian students in the United States. I think I must have got 200 friend requests on LinkedIn or connection requests there. I think people are starving for connection as they go through this immigration process, and I think the reason this show has done well and why people are drawn to sort of our message is that there's just, people are starving for connection, because when you're going through the process, you think you're crazy. You think they make you think you're crazy, and to find out that there's other people like you through the work that you're doing. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I was just talking about this to somebody else that it's when I finally like resolved everything, and like 2020 to 2022 was just the highest inflection point in my life in terms of like my immigration journey, to the point where I had to fight till the very end to get my green card. So my I-140, in December it was approved through EB1, and it had nothing had come through till March, and my H1B was expiring in April. So here I was with a promotion in my job with an approved EB1, but fearing deportation. So I had to fight till the very end to get that green card, where I was on the case of my lawyer saying that, please, like, what can we do? Then she sent out a benefit, some form to Kirsten Gillibrand, and that's what expedited my green card. So when I finally went home, like, it's the first thing that I did when I got my EAD card. I just booked a flight back to India, and I lost sleep, Jim. I couldn't sleep, and my dad just couldn't wrap his head around it. He was like, well, you got your green card, like, you got your associate professorship, you got tenure too, like, how can you not sleep now? And I had to seek mental help to realize that that was signs of PTSD. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the body accrues all of this. And the reason I'm saying this is, when you heal, right, healing looks very different for different people. For me, healing looked like sharing my story. For
Mm-hmm.
healing, it looked like connecting with others. Healing looked like setting up calls, talking to 100 people for free when I was in the beginning of this year, just to listen to what they were going through, not as a therapist, but also having some answers for them, but to just connect that, okay, there is somebody there who understands what you're going through. They understand your wins, they understand your losses as well. Because as much as I'm talking about the challenges that Indian immigrants have to face, we also must acknowledge that we are one of the highest paid immigrant groups, right? So we live in this weird intersection of persecution and privilege, right? Where on your job, you're the director of so and so, right? You're the CTO of so and you're still in that H1B line, standing in the visitor line when you come back to the US.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very difficult place to be, and a very unique one, where people can say that, well, if life is so hard, why don't you just freaking come back? You're there for greed, right? You can't make sense of this. It feels like you're gaslighting yourself into this perjury. So to create that space where somebody can like come in and talk to you, and you can connect with other people who are in that predicament, is extremely helpful when it comes to feeling like I'm not the crazy one, I'm not the only one, that there are other people out there who could be just as crazy as I am, but there are other people out there.
Well, thank you for articulating that. I suffered a pretty significant trauma as a kid, and I think maybe you've just put into words maybe why I'm drawn to this work, fighting against this big bureaucracy, because I think the trauma is real. I think, as you said, the body keeps the score,
Oh yeah.
and whenever I talk to anyone in higher education, I say to them, hey, if you ever meet any social worker students or any psychology students and they're looking for PhD topics, tell them to study the long-term effects of immigration. And you could do all kinds of stuff. What it's like for a child to wait 2 years for his dad to come from Africa, or for a woman from India who's waiting, uncertain whether she's either going to A, get her green card, or B, get deported. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible thing. Real quickly, if people want to find you, Dr. Paul, how do they find you? What's the best way to connect with you? How do they find you? And how can I help spread your message?
Oh, thank you so much. Please find me on LinkedIn. If you still want to find me, I'm like, oh my God, she traumatized a lot on us. No, if you still want to connect with me, I would love to connect with you. My primary platform, of course, is LinkedIn. Did you want me to put the link in the chat? Would that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, put the link in the chat. Let people know where they find you. I
Yes.
always like your posts, and I like I said, they're tight and they're concise and
Oh,
they're
thank you.
and they're fiery. And she's not going to waste your time. Oh, our friend R2D2 is here. R2 is one of our favorites. She says thanks for talking about this, Aditi. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Appreciate it. I put my LinkedIn in the private chat. I couldn't put it in the comments though.
Oh, here, let me get it. I'll grab it. I got it.
Oh, got it. Thank you so much. But Jim, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. And the reason why I connect with you, or I'm so appreciative of you, is because you're also such a straight shooter. I love that. There is a certain sense of authenticity and comfort. Instead of like being PC about it, you just say it as it is, and be like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Aditi. Have a great rest of the day. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, take care.
All right.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye. Oh, what a treat that was. What a treat that was to have her on. I think that resonated with a lot of people, especially our brothers and sisters who are going through whatever immigration process they're going through. And the thing that I always like to remind people is don't buy the bullshit when they try to feed one group off another. Now, whenever that topic of getting rid of the per country caps goes live because somebody's talking about it in Congress, everybody gets really mean really fast. Those who want to get rid of the per country caps get really mad at those who want to keep them, even attacking people that generally fight for immigrants. So just make sure that you keep everything nice, that we're all on the same side. Don't let them pit one immigrant group against another. Don't buy that, right? The focus should be on Congress. The focus should be on the people who write the laws. The focus should be, you always have to ask yourself, who is benefiting from the current system? Who is benefiting from the current system? Because as long as the powerful are benefiting, that shit's not going to change. That's what you really, really need to know. All right. So let's see. I see our friend Pat is here. What do you say, Pat?
Hey Jim, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. So Jim, I have a couple questions for you, right?
Okay.
So my wife was inquiring about she wants to bring my mother-in-law. So but we don't know the documents we need to put in place. But I know about the I-130, but I don't know what other documents we need to put in place.
So what's wife's immigration status?
She's a US citizen.
So she can file an I-130.
Mhm.
It's you have to prove the family relationship. So the biggest, most important thing is the birth certificate. Demonstrating the relationship. Hopefully, it's a birth certificate that was generated at or around the time that the child was born. Your wife. Where is mom right now? Is she overseas?
Yes, she's in Cameroon.
Has she ever had a visit visa? No.
Never.
So I don't know if she'll get a visit visa if she applies to just come see you and her. I think that's probably going to get denied. They're going to want her to file the I-130. So right now it's just file the I-130, and then the next stage is the National Visa Center and the embassy. So the National Visa Center is when she pays the fees, when she has to provide the affidavit of support, all that stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Jim, she makes around like $3,600 a month since she's the one that filed for me and I got my green card. So now that I know that she's eligible, because she doesn't need like any co-sponsor. I know for sure that she can file for the mom.
Does she have
So
3 years of that salary? Because that's pretty close
yes,
counting you, because we have
yes,
to count you till you're a citizen.
yes, 3 years. Yes, she got
Okay.
that. Yeah, yep.
Okay. So I mean, you never want to cut it too close, but again, that'll be something for a future problem. Right now, just get that I-130 on file. That thing's going to take a year, so don't mess around. It's a pretty simple form. Just get the I-130, the I-130A, and the 535 filing fee out the door. I mean, we can help if she wants, but just get it done.
Sure. So Jim, you said the I-130, the I-138, and the 585.
The filing fee is $535.
So how many paper?
Just those two.
Okay, okay, all right, Jim. Thank you so much.
See,
And you
buddy.
said five to five, right?
535 is current, and they're talking about raising fees, so that's a whole other reason you want to get out in front of them raising fees.
And Jim, if I have to hire you guys to do all the paperwork and everything, how much that cost in total?
Well, usually right now our fees are going up October 1st. Right now it's $5,700, but we would give you a discount for past clients, so it'd be $5,200, and then if they paid up front, we give a little bit more of a discount.
Okay, all right, sounds good, Jim. Thank you so much.
Bye, buddy. See you, Pat. All right. Let's say hi to Teslima. Hi, Teslima.
Hi, Mr. Jim. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. So my question was about, I did the I-130 for my husband last year, and after 11 months this summer, they accepted all those documents, and then we were able to start the NVC processing. And I did that. I helped him out with that. They accepted all his documents that we uploaded, like his passport, his police clearance, all of that information. And then for my information, they said that some of it was not going to be accepted. It said my dad could not be a sponsor, even though his income went over the poverty guideline. So I was confused on that. So I was going to wait for messages. I did the public inquiry form, and they sent me an email. So when I tried to go back on the website, I couldn't click on the messages, and then I couldn't upload anything new that they asked from me. It kept taking me back to my husband's page instead of my page. So I don't know if this is a technical issue, but it's been happening for weeks now, and I can't fix anything.
So do you think it's a close call as to whether or not dad can be the sponsor, or you think it's easily obvious that he should be able to be the co-sponsor?
It's obvious. So I'm a full-time student right now. I definitely don't have a high enough income, but
hold on. Did you submitted an affidavit of support yourself? Even
I
though
did.
And have you filed tax returns the last 3 years?
I had one for last year because that's the only the amount I was making. I only did it for last year because before that.
Yeah. But I think that can screw things up. Just even if you have a zero tax return, it's better than having no tax return at all, because their system, I think, is set up to try to find that missing affidavit of support, so that can cause problems.
On the thing, it said that the last year's, like the most recent one, was required, but then the previous 2 years before that was optional, I think. So I did my recent one since that's all I had. But for both my parents, like they have their previous 3 years, so I uploaded all of that.
So as far as the system being locked, I don't do that much myself anymore, so I don't really know, other than to tell you just need to start bothering the NVC until you get a live person to tell them that it's locked and they need to unlock it. It's a huge pain. It's going to be really hard, but that's all I got on that. I don't know how that really even works.
Oh, okay. Because I think the public inquiry form is the only way to reach them, because they don't have the phone number service thing anymore. When I try to call, it said it's only online. But if it doesn't,
so this might be one time too where you can reach out to a member of Congress and say, hey, they won't get back to me. Can you just get me a contact person so that they can fix this?
Okay. How would I do that?
Where do you live?
I live in St. Louis, Fenton, Missouri.
In Fenton?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the problem is we got a bunch of Republicans representing us, but you either have Jason Smith, I think, or Ann Wagner as your congressperson. So they'll have if you reach out to your congressperson, they'll have an immigration liaison and ask them they'll have you fill out a form, and then you say, I need you to contact the National Visa Center and tell them to unlock my thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, Teslima.
Bye.
All right. Let's say hi to Ebony. What do you say, Ebony?
Hi, Jim. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? It's a little bit noisy.
It's a little garbled, but I can hear you.
Should be better right now.
That is better.
Great. Just a quick question, and thanks for picking me. I submitted my High 751 in September 2021, and when I didn't get any feedback from USCIS, I proceeded to submit N400 in March this year, I believe. But then I got I'm in a situation where my husband is in jail right now, and we don't have a sentence.
He's in jail?
Yes. And we don't have a sentencing date for him yet, and the interview is meant for next month. So I'm not sure how to proceed or what to do, if to reschedule, if to go ahead, what document do I need to go with me next month.
So you actually have the interview notice?
Yes.
And if I were to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is a little bit of marital evidence and 10 is a ton, what would you say that you have?
I would say I have 7, 8, 10.
And when you married your spouse, were you in status or were you out of status at the time?
I came in with a B1, B2 visa, and I don't know if I was in status or out of status, but I came in with a B1, B2 visa, and it hasn't expired as at the time of the.
Well, but they would have given you sort of 6 months. Were you beyond the 6 months when you got married?
April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, kind of. I came in March and I got married in October. So I came in March 2017 and I got married in October 2017.
The person that you married, did you know them before you came to the United States?
No.
So you only knew them a short amount of time when you got married?
Correct.
So that means they're going to be a little bit suspicious of the marriage. The crime that your spouse is in jail for, they've already been convicted and now they're waiting for sentencing. Is that the deal?
Yes, he was in a situation where he assaulted someone who took a restraining order against him multiple times.
Was that a man or a woman?
A woman.
Okay, so that has its own set of problems because that impacts the validity of the marriage, because why is he messing around with some woman who needs to get a restraining order against him if he's really married to you? That's what they're going to say.
Mm-hmm. It was his ex-girlfriend.
Right. I believe you, but they're going to say that's his real girlfriend and that he just married you. He's a criminal. He just marries, he breaks laws all the time. He breaks laws beating people. He breaks laws marrying people. So I think you got a tough road ahead. I think that if I were your lawyer, I would go to that jail where he is and I would get a long statement from him explaining how this is a real relationship. You can win the case without him. Now, here's a question. Your interview notice, is it for the N400 or is it for the 751?
It is for the N400.
Yeah, see, I might withdraw that N400.
Okay.
I mean, but here's the question. Is your husband going to be in jail for 6 months or 10 years?
That I have no idea.
What's the lawyer say?
The lawyer is saying maximum 2 years. The prosecutor was offering a deal of 3 years, but he wants to go forward to the court.
I mean, the N400 is based on you being married for 3 years, right?
Correct.
And, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this on the show. I have a video about it, but basically USCIS has really tightened up the application of that 3-year rule, which basically says that you have to live together as spouses almost every day for the full 3 years.
We have been together for 5 years.
Right. But what I'm saying is, if you applied on the 3-year rule, they're going to look back from the time that from the time of the interview or the time that you filed. They're going to look back 3 years and they're going to say, has Ebony been living with that dude every night for 3 years?
Well, he got arrested in May, so.
Right. So to me, the N400 is putting a big old spotlight on Ebony and her marriage. The one thing I don't want right now is a big spotlight on Ebony and her marriage. So I'm not saying do this for sure, but if I were your lawyer, I'd have a long conversation with you about withdrawing the N400, trying to slow down the 751. Hopefully he gets out if there's an interview. I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is many 751s get approved without an interview. So it's the actual filing of the N400 that forces them to have an interview on the 751. They might not have an interview on the 751. You might be able to get the 751 approved without the N400. So I just think the N400 is putting a ton of pressure on your case. And if I'm you, I don't want that pressure. I'm going to dismiss that bad boy and just hope that the 751 works its way out, or if he's going to get an interview, that he's out of jail at the time. Also, I'd be spending much time visiting him in jail and documenting the crap out of that, because you're going to want to explain all the efforts that you did to stay close to him while he was in jail.
Got it. Okay. That leaves us with two options. All right. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
Well, and to that end, let me just say one other thing. You could withdraw the 751 and file one by yourself.
How is that?
Mm-hmm. So if you can convince USCIS that you had a valid marriage that just didn't work out, like one way to attack this case, and remember, I'm not his lawyer, I'm not your lawyer either, but I'm not advocating for him, I'm advocating for you. So there's an argument to be made that if you can prove that it was a real marriage, but it went sideways because he was for some reason obsessed about this ex-girlfriend and he got this restraining order and then he went to jail and then it really fucked up our relationship, then you're on the same side as USCIS pointing at him. It's not the best thing in the world, but if that's where you're at in your mind, you should know that we could get this case approved without him, but it would involve some things. Like, one is we probably want to get a statement from him saying, yeah, it was real, it just didn't work out, I'm sorry things went badly, and I'm sorry I'm sitting in jail. So I think that I don't know, I'd have to think through, but I think that might be the better approach immigration-wise. I don't know where you're at in your relationship. You certainly don't have to talk about that here. I'm just saying that in your mind, don't feel trapped with him as long as you dismiss that damn naturalization application, and then you give yourself some freedom to even see how things work out. Because you can always ask him to convert the 751 to one with a waiver, but I like to file a whole new one so that it's clean, and then we're pointing at him saying, he's the problem, that ex-girlfriend's the problem. I did everything right. I was in love, and now I got screwed, and now I shouldn't have to go back home just because of what those two are up to.
Got it. Okay. That's a long road. Oh.
Yeah, when you said there's two ways, that triggered me and reminded me that you don't have to rely on him.
Okay, that's an helpful information. Just have to sit myself down.
Yeah, sure. Let me know if you need anything. This would be an interesting case to work on. Bye, Ebony.
Thank you.
All right, bye. All right. We got Christian here. What do you say, Christian?
Hi, I'm Jim. Nice to meet you. So
How
basically, just pretty good. I'm pretty good today. Yeah. So basically, I'm a tattoo artist, right? And I have a Croatian citizenship, right? And I had a B1, B2 visitor visa. And on the trips to US, I would work there. And last time when I tried to re-enter,
they busted you.
Yeah, they busted me, pretty much. And like right now, like nobody wants to take off my case. I can't find a lawyer nowhere.
What case do you think you have?
Like just any kind of visa I can re-enter, even a visitor, so I can re-enter the US.
That's not happening.
Never again, eh?
Even if you were married to a U.S. citizen and they were trying to bring you to the United States, it's going to be a really hard case. But coming on a visit after getting caught working, and the one question I always have in this situation is, how they give you that statement of everything they asked you and everything you said?
Yeah.
Did you admit you were working right away, or did they figure that shit out from your phone?
So this guy was like, okay, bro, I like you because I like criminal. And he was like, if you admit to the certain degree and buy yourself a ticket right now, I'm not going to ban you. So I was like, I was kind of admitting, but I wasn't admitting. I was saying I'm doing my friends. They're giving me sometimes money and stuff. So, and he was like, when he asked me a question like, were you aware you can't work there? And he was like behind the camera, he was like that, showing me to tell no. So I said no. So they don't have actually me admitting completely everything. I was like, this was all of my friends. Sometimes they would give me money for something, sometimes not. I would spend mostly there on the clubs and, so that's the thing.
How often were you coming?
I went 2 times that year. I was 6 months. Yeah. and I was 6 months. I went out for 1 month and I came back.
Yeah, I mean that you were a sitting duck. They were going to get you for sure. But here's what you need to understand, Christian. Most visit visas to the United States get denied. So most people who apply for a visit visa get denied. And the reason they get denied is because they don't believe the person's going to come back, or they don't believe the person's going to follow the law when they come to the United States. They already caught you. There's no way they're going to give you a visit visa. It's not going to happen.
And what about other? What's the fastest option to get there to that continent? Like anything, like any kind of visa, any kind of thing. So like multiple lawyers advised me to get, like, I'm in Canada right now, to get Canadian citizenship in next 2 years, trying to get that, and then like apply for a waiver for that thing, and then
I think waivers for non-immigrant visas are almost impossible. I don't think you're coming to the United States
at all.
Mhm.
Holy crap! That's not the best news.
Yeah, but I'm not the first person to tell you that.
No, actually, you are.
Oh,
I have multiple people that take a lot of my money.
yeah. Well, I'm not taking any of your money, and we don't even help with visit visas because most visit visas get denied. But I sure as heck wouldn't take your money because there's no way you're getting a visa.
So there's no way I'm gonna get opening business there. Nothing. There is no way of me getting anytime soon there. Like investing anything.
What's the hardship? If you wanted a waiver, you need to show hardship to an American. What's the hardship to you not being in the United States?
What that means, hardship.
Hardship. Well, if the United States doesn't let you come back to the United States,
Right.
they know it's going to hurt you. They know that you want to come, right? Like it would benefit you to be able to come, but they don't care about that. They only care if it's going to hurt an American citizen. Is there any American citizen who is hurt, who loses because they won't let you in?
I mean, my brand is pretty big. I could be an asset there. When I come there, like, I'll be able to open a pretty successful business pretty fast and pay all the taxes and employ more people.
I don't think that's. I mean, you can try it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to fly.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same. So there is no way, huh?
I think I'd focus on Canada.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Sorry, man. I got to go.
It's okay, man. Thank you so much for your help.
Bye, Christian. See you, buddy. Yep, later. Oh, that's too bad for him. Yeah, the chances of getting a waiver for a non-immigrant visa after overstay or working without authorization, very, very small. Brian is with us. Hello, Brian.
Thanks, Jim. I have a situation on my hands. So I was on H-1B and I did a transfer and to the second employer, and then they did regular processing. I moved to that employer with the receipt, the second employer.
That old trick. That old trick.
And then sometime into my work, they terminated me. And so I'm trying to figure out what my options are and like what I can do not to get in trouble. So
why did they terminate?
Well, they thought I wasn't the best fit for the position, and they were dragging out the visa process, and I got an RFE actually, and we were trying to work on that, and then in the process of that, they terminated my employment.
And they notified USCIS?
I was, to my knowledge, yes, because they told the lawyer to start the withdrawal.
When was this?
They were working on the RFE. This was last Friday. It was pretty recent.
Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be hard to find another job?
Well, I'm in the process of finding a job, but it takes a little bit of time. So right now, my status is kind of in the air. So that's why I was like, okay, should I, what's the best plan here? So that's what I'm asking.
So one time I quit a job and then I got married and I thought I was coming back to a new job, and then it disappeared, right? So when my wife and I got home from my honeymoon, I found out I had no job. She wasn't very happy with me. And so I went to see my old career counselor, and what she said to me was, have you thought at all about going back to the first employer? Have you had any conversations with them, or they don't want anything to do with you?
We left on good terms. But the thing was that I was there for about a year and a half, and I worked with them for a bit, but we ended up on just kind of leaving each other on best terms. But I just wasn't the right person for that job, and that's how we left it. But we did leave in good terms. So.
What's your field of study?
My field of study, I have an MBA with a focus in finance, and I've been looking for. I've been mainly playing around with cap exempt organizations. So I work for an organization affiliated with a university. It was a medical sort
Wait,
of kind of in the
so you haven't gone through the H-1B lottery?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, we're in trouble then. We're in trouble.
Okay.
I was sort of banking on that as being something that would be really attractive to people. What's the position that you had at job A, and what's the position you had at job B?
So they're both. The first one was a financial analyst, and the second one was a budget analyst in a university. So I kind of switched into higher ed.
Yeah, I mean that's your best
sort
bet.
of the same. Yeah.
What's your question for me, Brian?
My question is, what is the best way forward? Because I'm kind of in a tight situation regarding I had a pending application, and in the process it got terminated. Like, what's the best way to move forward if I want to keep my status? Well, what's left of my status?
Yeah, I mean,
good.
I think nothing happens though if you don't find a job. So to me, the whole focus should be is on finding a job as quickly as possible. Have you gone to that website, myvisajobs.com? I really like that website for finding H-1B sponsors.
Yes. And I'm in the process of finding the jobs, and I found a couple. It's just, the application process takes a while since, when people respond back. Yeah. That's going to take a bit of time. So
if you send me sort of a detailed email, Brian, just outlining your timeline, everything from the first time you came to America till now.
Okay.
If you just do dates and what happened, date what happened, I'll run it past Andrew and I, because I don't want to give you bad advice, because I want to think about when your status ends or ended, and I want to make sure that I tell you the best thing. I don't want to just do it over the video.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you so much.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Mabel's here. What do you say, Mabel?
Hey, hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. Jim, it's happy birthday.
Thanks. Thank you. I had a great birthday. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my first time to be on your show.
Thanks for coming on.
Me. Yeah. I have a question. We got married with my wife, and she got the green card in 2018. We had an interview in Nairobi in December 2018, and we moved here to the United States in 2019. And when I was filling the DS-260, before I got my wife, I had my ex-girlfriend with 3 kids, but we never got married and we never lived together. So when I was filling a DS-260, there is where they ask if you have kids. So when they ask like that, I thought maybe they're asking with my wife, because you don't have a kid with my wife. So I didn't know that I still have to list down the kids I had with my ex-girlfriend. And now we have been here for now 5 years, and we are about to apply for citizenship. So I was like, since I came to know that I was supposed to mention those kids, but I didn't mention them, I was like, maybe should I list them on the N400?
That's the wrong question. The right question is, should you file for N400? That's the right question.
Yeah.
So is is there some kind of application you have with USCI or with State Department from before where they know that you have these kids, or they don't know that you have these kids at all?
I think I was supposed to let them know through the DS-260.
Okay, so but that's the only immigration thing you've ever really applied for is the DS-260.
Yeah, so since I didn't mention them on that DS-260, that means they don't know that I have kids. Because I was like, maybe I was not supposed to mention those kids because they are with someone I'm not married to.
No, my friend, no. That's not how they view it. Okay, can I tell you how they view it? We have this question on the DS-260. This question all the questions on the DS-260 are designed to give our officers as much information as possible when deciding whether or not to give you a spouse visa to come to the United States.
Right.
That's why we have these questions. One of the questions is, have you ever been married? Now, you said this was your girlfriend, so you were able to say, no, I've never been married before, right?
Right. That's what I did.
Another way we find out about your past relationships and therefore the strength of your current marriage is whether you have any kids, because we know there's situations where people have kids but don't get married. So we really like to know about that, because that if someone's having kids with person A at or around the time they're married to person B, then we have a problem. So how old was the youngest kid at the time you filled out that DS-260?
That was 2018, and the last kid was born in 2013. That's 5
years old.
5 years old.
Now, of course, the question doesn't say anything like, do you have any children with your current spouse? It just says list all of your children, right?
Right. So I don't have kids with my wife because of some health condition. We have no kids yet.
Right. But what I'm saying is, on the DS-260, the question wasn't how many kids do you have with your wife. It's how many how many kids do you have anywhere in the world, and where do they live, right?
Right.
So do you know how many people? I've made more than one video about this because so many people do what you're explaining. It's a huge problem. So in their mind, if Mabel had told us that he had 3 kids with this other person, that he had a longtime girlfriend, we might not have given him that visa to come to the United States. We might have denied his visa. So in their mind, he lied to us to get that visa. And if he hadn't lied, he wouldn't be here now applying for citizenship. So I think that if you apply for those kids to come to the United States, or if you apply for citizenship and list them, they're going to deny your N-400,
right?
And they're going to try to take away your green card. I'm not saying that you should apply and lie. I can't say that. I would never say that. What I'm saying is you have to think long and hard whether the chances of you getting citizenship after listing those children. I think the chance of you getting citizenship after that are 5%. I think it's 70% that they deny your citizenship and then try to take away your green card and say you're a liar and you never should have come to the United States and you committed immigration fraud.
Yeah, but there are some mistakes happens like that because you don't have the information. Because now it was like this was.
What do you mean you don't have the information? What does that mean?
I mean about like listing those kids which are out of your you got out of your marriage.
That's not what the question said. The question says list your children.
Because I was like,
listen,
maybe
you're the 874,353rd. You're the 874,353rd person to say I didn't understand that question. And you know what they say about that? They say bullshit. They say bullshit. You knew what that question meant. The question was clear. The question doesn't say, do you have any questions with your current spouse? The question says, list all your children.
Oh. Yeah. So we didn't know. I didn't know about that.
What do you mean you didn't know about that? The question is obvious. The question is, do you have any children? List them. That's it.
Oh, when you asked it like that, I thought to be with my wife. I'm the one I'm married to.
Wait a minute. Listen, dude, if you go in there and argue what you're arguing with me, you're going to piss them off like you're starting to piss me off. You're going to get them mad. They're not going to believe anything you say. if you tell them, oh, well, I mean, it sounds like a lawyer trying to make BS answers out of a question. The question is, hold on. Let's find a DS-160. Let's find a DS-160. It's probably not in a PDF that I can look at anymore because it used. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Well, anyway, I think we're in agreement. It's very clear to anyone reading that. Okay, let's ask the people in the question. Like, these are your kids, right? You're on their birth certificate?
Yeah, I have the birth certificate, everything.
And your name's on it.
Right.
And so sometimes people tell me, Jim, I didn't know about these kids till after I got my visa, but you knew about these kids, right?
No, I know. Yeah, of course. I've been supporting them.
Here's what I'm telling you. No one is going to believe that you didn't understand that question.
Yeah, that's true. But mistakes happen.
No, don't say it's a mistake. Don't say that. No. You have to take responsibility for this. You can't say, if you say I didn't know, then they're never going to give you your citizenship. But see, you have a problem. Your green card is based on what they consider to be a lie. They believe that if you had told the truth, they probably wouldn't have given you your green card. That is the exact standard that the Supreme Court said is important. So let's say that instead of it's about your kids, let's say that they asked you about your jobs, and let's say you listed 4 jobs, but you didn't list this 5th job. Let's say that you worked back in Kenya in a marijuana dispensary, and you thought, well, if I list this marijuana dispensary, then they might not give me my visa. Supreme Court says that lying about something small that's not important, that wouldn't change the officer's approach to the interview, they can't use that against you. But when it comes to things like whether the thing is, if you have children with this other person, then that impacts how strong they think your marriage is, and they might not have approved the DS-260.
Yeah, they approved because I was with my wife when we had an interview there. They asked about our marriage, our relationship. We proved everything, all the evidence they asked.
But what I'm saying is, if they're getting ready for my interview, here comes Mabel. Let me get his file. Let's take a look here. All right. Mabel is married to Mary. Okay, that looks real. I got their marriage certificate. Everything looks good. Yeah. They've been together 3 years. Yeah. Okay. Well, look here. Oh, yeah, no, he's never been married before. Okay, so that's good. And he doesn't have any kids. So he's probably never had any serious relationships. So, I'm going to go ahead and approve this visa because I believe that Mabel and Mary are married. Now, very different. Let's look at the DS-260. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what's this? He has 3 kids with some other woman? Now, let's talk about this woman. Let's talk about this woman. What's the situation there? Are you still in a relationship with her? Are you still supporting those kids? I mean, that's a whole other thing. Child support's a whole other thing. Do you have documentation for citizenship for sure? Do you have documentation that you've been financially supporting these kids for the last 5 years?
Right. I've been supporting them all throughout.
Do you have proof?
I can get the proof from where did meet, where the one I used to send the money, even the school fees.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, here's my opinion, then I'm going to go. My opinion is that which field office would have your interview if you had an interview? Where would it be?
I'm in Seattle, Washington State.
So if you go into that Seattle field office and you apply for citizenship, and they look at that form and they see 3 kids, they're going to go back. This is their favorite thing to do now. It's much easier for them technologically. They can go back and look at that DS-260 just like that. They used to have to request it. Now they don't. They're going to, while you're sitting across from them, they're going to know you didn't list those kids, and man, they're going to come after you, and they're going to take away your green card.
So what advice? Can you advise me?
I'm not your lawyer, but it seems to me that you have a whole lot more to risk by filing for citizenship i.e., losing your green card, then the very, very small chance that you're going to get it. All right.
Because-
Thanks, people. I'm going to go, brother. I'm going to go.
Okay, thanks you, Jim.
I think we've beaten this one to death. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go 10 more minutes. We started a little bit late, and we, Hooli, if you need to go, feel free. We're going to go 10 more minutes, go a little extra since we had our great guest, Aditi Paul. Remember, if you want to talk to her, you can find her on LinkedIn. I'm going to go a couple more minutes, take a few more calls. Let's say hi to Harrison. Hi, Harrison.
Hi, Jim. Good afternoon. Happy birthday.
Thanks. Thanks so much. I had a great one.
Thanks for picking me. So I have a question. I got married in 2021. I went back to Nigeria. I got married in 2021. So we filed a green card September, and we got us the notice September 29 or 21, 2021. So the USCIS approved our case 2022 December. So we filed for it. They now send it down to the MVC. We given the documents has been documentarily qualified since February 3rd. So we've been waiting for interview for it's been like 6 months now since February 3rd. Yeah. And so I'm in the Air Force Reserve. So and I'm deploying in next month, and my wife is pregnant because I went to Nigeria to visit in June. So I tried to expedite the case so she can come because she's by herself, but it's been denied a couple of times. So I don't know if there's anything I can do to get her over here because I'm deploying. I will not be able to go visit her during this time that she's pregnant. So I don't know if there's any advice you can give.
When are you getting deployed? Do you know?
Yeah, in October. I'm actually leaving October 6th.
And what are you hearing as far as cases being documentally qualified and when they're getting their interviews?
So because they send us emails every 60 days and telling us our document has been documentally qualified. They're waiting for the embassy to give them a date. Then they can schedule a date for us, and it's a first in, first out situation. So thanks for your patience. That's what the
I don't mean so much from them. Sorry, I mean from other people with priority dates around your time. Do you know? Are they extra slow on yours? Is it a year of DQ? What is it? What is it for Nigeria right now? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay, people in the comments might know. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Where in America do you live?
Yeah, I live in North Carolina.
Okay. What's the receipt date on the I-130?
Receipt date. Babe, can you check the receipt date? The receipt date was September 24th for the I-130. September 29th, I-130, yes.
What year?
2021.
So the case is like 2 years old.
Yes.
And did you say you're in the Air Force?
Yes, sir. Air Force Reserves.
I'm trying to think of a place to sue other than North Carolina. North Carolina is not so great because they don't really know the U.S. attorneys down there. So they're saying they're working on cases that people are saying in the comments. Nigeria is currently processing documented qualified October 2022. And what are you, like May or March?
February 3rd.
Of 2023?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Harrison, do me a favor. Because of your service, I'm going to try to help you.
Yes, sir.
If you can email me, send me an email with your I-130 receipt notice, your I-130 approval notice, and your NVC, something with your NVC, I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Get that over to me. I'll get back to you probably over the weekend, okay?
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Where are you right now? Are you in North Carolina?
No, I'm in St. Louis because of my job. I'm a travel nurse on my civilian side.
Oh, now see St. Louis. St. Louis I can play with. Okay, this is perfect. I was hoping you were in St. Louis because the U.S. attorney here, the assistant U.S. attorney, used to be in the military, and every now and then I ask him for a favor. So I could ask him for a favor for you just to see what he would say.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Get that to me. Oh, and if you have proof she's pregnant, that would be good too.
Yeah. Okay. I can send like a scan and her documents too.
Thank you, Harrison.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
St.
Thank
Louis.
you,
That's what I'm talking about. St. Louis. We left out that part till the end. So thank you, Harrison. See you, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, buddy. All right, I'm going to take one or two more. Hey, if you're enjoying today's show, if you enjoyed having Dr. Paul on the show, leave us a quick review. We'd appreciate it. Reviewhackinglaw.com. Oh, and don't forget, this is September. So we're having our Viewer of the Month Club. My dad was a Marine, H&M. You're right about that. My dad was a Marine. God bless him. Here he is right here. My dad passed away in December of 21, but I keep him close by. That's the bobblehead of my dad. Do you think I'm starting to look like him? What do you think? Let me see. Let me see if I put him up there. Yeah, we sort of look alike, I think. I think I'm starting to look more like him. If I had that damn beard, it's pretty white these days. And, I used to have red hair like the old man. I sure miss him. Let's say hi to Korhan. Hi, Korhan.
Hi, Jim. Happy birthday. Happy 25th.
Thank you. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
So, I will ask a question for my friend whose English not good.
Okay.
So I will like to give you a brief timeline. So she got married in 2017, applied for the 2-year green card, received it, applied for a 10-year green card, and in 2020, and in 2021, mid-August, around that time, they had problems financially, big problems. So she had to separate her house and
separate from him, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
But they were still married, and she found lawyer both divorce and immigration. But in 2022, she received her 10-year green card. And the question is now, let me continue. In 2023, July, they divorced. So
let me just make sure I got it straight. So 751's on file, then divorce is on file, then 751 is approved, then divorce is approved. Is that right?
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So the concern is this: she wants to apply the citizenship for the 5 years rule because she qualifies time wise.
Yeah.
So when she sends her divorce decree, it already says that she separated her house in 2021 because the divorce is decided on that. Will that be a problem?
Well, so I believe this comes down to one big question. And I want to talk to this person. You can't take this advice back to her and tell her what I said, okay? I mean, you can show it to her, but she needs more advice than just you talking to me, right? Like, we need to look at everything. We need to talk about the husband and what's going to happen if they knock on his door. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, she's terrible. She only married me to get a green card." That's a whole different analysis, right? But here's the thing. Who filed for divorce?
She. Yeah.
And how much time was there between when she applied for divorce and when she got her 10-year green card? I mean, the dates here, Korhan, are really important, because if she filed for divorce the day before her 751 got approved, that's different. So because it all goes to what notice they have. But here we might even be able to go through. You don't have to get the dates. I'm just saying these are the important questions. Here's the real question. When they started fighting, somebody moved out. Did she move out or did he move out?
She moved out.
So here's the question. Did she update her address with USCIS?
Later. Not until she learned she had to do, not until like a year later or so, but she did, and she did receive the green card on the correct address.
So in other words, we could make the argument that at the time her 751 got approved, they were on notice that she wasn't living in the same address that she filed the 751.
Yes.
I think she can get her citizenship. I want to talk to her, and she shouldn't file without a lawyer. It's going to be a fight, and they might hit her with fraud, but that timeline is going to determine the timeline, and the ex-spouse are going to determine the whole thing.
Okay.
What I would do if I were her lawyer is I would nail down the timeline. I would get a long history from her, from the time she got here to the time she fell in love, to how the relationship advanced, how they got married, how they decided to apply for a green card, all the way through what problems they were having, why they got divorced. And I would get that whole statement. And then I would go talk to the husband and see if he'll agree to that or to most of it. And then after I get that all nailed down, then I would apply for citizenship.
Okay. Well, the problem, the husband took a SBA loan under her name without her knowledge. So it's a big fraud he did. So at the divorce, she was able to get that money back, but
He's bad blood.
Yes.
Did he get prosecuted for that?
No, that's one reason they said time, instead of taking all the blame, yes, I did it, I'll pay back. It was like we lived 1 year separated.
That complicates things, because there's money going back and forth. That money going back and forth. We're now talking about immigration. We're talking about someone who commits fraud. If he commits bank fraud, would he commit green card fraud to get her the green card in the first place? So it's a mess.
Well, it's a real marriage. They live together, everything. So that was not a problem. The problems,
and that's what you and I say, but that's not what they're going to say. They're going to say she's hanging out with criminals.
Well, he will never accept that, I think. So
I'd be happy to work with her if she wants to hire us as her attorney, if she's open to that. I think it'd be an interesting case. I think it's winnable based on what you've told me, but I think the timeline is going to be really, really important.
Okay. What will be the cost?
Oh, probably like $5,000 plus the filing fee.
Okay.
$5,000 or $6,000, something like that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I will reach back to you then.
Thanks, Korhan. Have a good night.
Thanks, sir. You too. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That'll do it. We went extra long today. Thank you, Huli, for staying late. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to call my dad Abuelo. Thank you, Nurse Lara. Tomorrow, strange start time tomorrow, 3:45. 3:45. Amani might join me. We're going to be down waiting for Noor. Noor has a softball game at 5:15 tomorrow. It might start early, which is why I'm starting at 3:45. So we'll be in the car probably, or on the hood of the car, or sitting in the stands. We'll be doing the show from Jefferson City tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. Central. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate our guest, Aditi Paul, Dr. Aditi Paul. She did a great job, and I think she connected with a lot of people. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the good wishes for my dad, and thanks to Huli for hanging out with me. Bye, guys.